Welcome back to the Sports Talk ATL podcast. I'm Chase Irle at Sports Talk ATL Twitter, joined by Jake Gordon at Can't Guard Jake on Twitter and Alex Lord at Go Sports Talk on Twitter. Guys, this is home of the first place Atlanta Braves. All right, admittedly, we are doing this during the game, and the Mets already won, so it's a half-game lead, whatever. But this is the first place Atlanta Braves podcast. Last time since we were back, the Braves have won 6 in a row. The Mets lost 3 in a row to 3 crappy teams who they swore they would never lose to. But it's not over. But let's get a vibe. How are you guys feeling right now? 26 games left in the season. Mets have a half-game lead. Hopefully we can beat the A's right now. Games going on right now. How are you guys feeling with 26 games left? I mean, you got to feel pretty good, right?
Go ahead, Jake.
I feel great, man. I'm excited. We got a lot of good games coming up. Even though it is football season, it's a little harder to focus on baseball. But I'm excited, man. I'm ready to go. I know we can win this division. I actually bet 250 with the Sports Talk NYM guy, whoever he is. And we've been DMing back and forth. And he messaged me last night and he said, I can go ahead and just cash app you now if you want. And I was like, nah, man, we still got a couple weeks left. So we've been having some fun with it. I am very excited though, especially that last series. You really feel like that's going to be the deciding factor. I wish the season hadn't gotten delayed and those 2 series with the Nats and the Marlins weren't after that for both teams, but I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something a little different. I'm not gonna get too happy or too sad one way or the other. I don't feel any different than when we were 3 games back. It was always going to come down to that last series with the Mets. Admittedly, I am excited, but I'm going to temper expectations because just like we see today, we're down 2-0 to the A's last time I checked. So you never know what happens and what can happen in baseball. And, the Braves are red hot, hottest team in baseball. But the Mets are a very good team. We're going to have our A game the rest of the year.
Yeah, I'm ecstatic. I've been preaching this shit for months now that we would catch up to them. So for us to finally do it, even if it's in September, which I kind of thought it was probably going to be in September. That's when the Mets But the one thing I will say, this wasn't a choke job by the Mets. And I kept saying my confidence was always in that the fact that the Braves would just keep winning. I do think the Mets the rest of the way are probably going to go, they got 26 games left. They'll probably go, 13 and 10, or, 13 and 13. No, not 13 and 13. That's way wrong. No, they'll probably go 17 and 9 or something like that. But I just think the Mets are going to be better, or the Braves are just going to be better than that. I think they'll go, 18 and 7. Whatever they have to do, I think they'll do it. Because I just think, I don't care what the schedules say. You saw the Mets can lose to the Nationals or the Pirates on any given day. Their bats, they don't hit it hard all the time. They don't have Scherzer and DeGrom on the mound all the time. Taijuan Walker's regressing. Carlos Carrasco's regressing. They can lose to anyone on any given day, and so can the Braves, but it's just not the same. So I do feel very confident in where we are, but you got to have pedal to the metal. I do think we're going to have to win 20. I don't want to say 20 out of 26, but pretty close to that to win the division. Something close. Maybe 18, maybe 19, because the Mets schedule is super soft. Outside of us, they don't really play anyone. They play the Brewers, but the Brewers are crumbling, so it's got to be pedal to the metal. Job's not done yet. The Mets aren't going to completely collapse. They're not going to go 500 over the last stretch. They're going to bounce back and start winning some games. We've already seen them beat the Pirates today. They got DeGrom on the mound. They'll win that game. And then I think they play the Nationals and Marlins and the Pirates again. So, they are going to win games. We are going to have to win just as much as them to get to that series and then beat them. It's at Truist Park. It's at home.
Yeah, I think 20 games isn't insane to say. I think the Braves will have to win 20 of their last 26 to win the division, because just like you said, this isn't the same Mets, and as much as we want to say that and joke around, they're a good baseball team. They're very good, and they're not going to beat themselves over these last 26 games, I don't think. And the Braves, just like you said, the Braves are just going to have to be better. The Mets have been outstanding since that that June 1st date that the Braves have just been on a tear. The Braves have just been better. They have a 75% win percentage since June 1st. I mean, that's unheard of. And the Mets are 68 or 65 or something, which is very, very good too. It's just the Braves have just been better, and we have to keep it going exactly like we have.
Yeah, it's the Mets have been the 5th best team and the Braves have been the best team, and they made up 11 games. I mean, the Braves are 62 and 24 since June 1st. That's a 117 win pace. That's unbelievable. The Mets are 51 and 33, so they're not going to lay down. Their schedule's way too easy. They're going to win 17, 18 games down the stretch. So yeah, I think 20 games isn't ridiculous. I think you're right. It does come down to that second to last series. And Jake, you're also right. I wish that was the last series. That needs to be the last series of the season if the season doesn't get delayed. If we were playing, Mets and Braves. And by the way, I got a table for one of those last series games, so I expect both of you fuckers to be at that game. I
will say, what a flop though, man. Like, it's not even like the Mets. Oh, the Mets are going to play the Yankees and the Braves are going to play the Dodgers or something. It's the two worst teams in the division, two of the five worst teams in baseball probably. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of anticlimactic. Now we got 3 games with these bottom feeders, and may have to sweat those out. The Marlins are definitely better than the Nationals, but I mean, we just saw the Nationals give the Mets some trouble.
And that's the craziest part. Is like we're gonna have a playoff series basically with the Mets, and then both of those teams are gonna have to gear right back up after a very emotional series, and then have to play some horrible teams, which the baseball gods are just gonna be like. Maybe we'll fuck with this one a little bit. That's not to be overlooked, especially coming off an emotional series like the Mets, which is probably going to decide the division. You don't want to wrap up the division with the Mets and then somehow lose it the next week. I mean, that would be so embarrassing. Either way, whichever team, comes out of that series ahead, you cannot overlook that last series.
100%.
I got a feeling it's going to like that. That would be the epic Mets collapse that would happen. If they do come out of that series, up a game or maybe tied, but they have the tiebreaker, and then they lose, 2 out of 3 of the Nats and lose the division. Like that would be that's the only way I could see the Mets collapsing to win this division is if they just choke on that last series for just a 2 or 3 game thing. But over like the sample size of the rest of this month, they're going to win games. But speaking, we talked about 20 wins. Well, since Vaughn Grissom's come up, the Braves are 20-5. How much has this guy meant to this team?
I mean, he's part of the future. There's no doubt about that. And it's one of those things where you got to wonder, like, who's the next one? Who's the next cat they're just going to call up and come up to just tear the cover off the baseball. I'm very happy for him though too. He seems like a kid that carries himself with a lot of confidence, and thankfully that hasn't been disrupted so far. Hopefully he can keep it up and come up with some clutch hits in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's pretty much forced Brian Snitker's hand. I mean, once Ozzie Albies comes back. He has to be in the lineup. I mean, he has to be.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about Ozzie Albies. He's kind of his rehab assignment has kind of been delayed over the last few days with rain and scheduled off days. He's only played in 2 games. I think he did go 2 for 3 in one of those games, but I don't even think he's yet to play in the field. It's probably still going to be another couple weeks, I would say. I mean, maybe not that long because they want to rush it a little bit. It's probably going to be at least another couple weeks before we see him back in Atlanta. Is he like? I think there's a pretty strong possibility he's not starting for the Braves in the postseason. Like I think we want him to, but with Ronald's knee, he could be DHing some nights. You can't DH Ozzie. I don't know. It kind of depends how he looks, but I wouldn't be shocked if he was left off the playoff roster. It's not totally out of the realm of possibility in my mind.
I would be pretty shocked if he was left off. I mean, he's got to be a better reserve player than anyone else they have. So at the very least, he's just there just in case of emergency. I would be shocked if he was left off the playoff roster, barring any setbacks. But yeah, just like you said, I mean, the Braves are kind of in a pickle with the whole Ronald Acuña knee injury. And I think that they're approaching it the right way. Just DH him the rest of the season, get him healthy, because he's so much better than what the Braves have in the outfield, what they currently have. Grossman, Ozuna, Rosario. I mean, Grossman's not bad in the field, but the other two are horrid. So DHing him the rest of the way is probably the way to go, and just hope he's healthy for the postseason.
Yeah, you got to hope he's ready to play in the field for the postseason, because if not, you have to play Grossman or Rosario and Ozuna, or you have to play 2 of them every day. You definitely want to do that. Of course, we have talked about Grissom potentially moving to left field. I definitely think that's a possibility, especially if Ozzie comes back healthy. I think that's actually a likelihood if Ozzie comes back healthy, because then you could actually probably get away with DHing Acuña on a lot of games if you can have Grissom out there and then Ozzie playing second base. But it gives you so many more options if you can have Acuña in the field, because then you can DH William Contreras or Travis d'Arnaud, and that lineup is just incredibly deep. When you take Grossman out, you have Contreras in there. Maybe you have Vaughn and Ozzie. I mean, that's if you have those 9 guys, like you have to like your chances against anybody. I mean, you have to think you're the favorite to win the World Series, in my opinion.
It's difficult to say because as much offensive firepower as you have right there, how much are you really giving up defensively? And I honestly, Vaughn Grissom's got to be better than Ozuna or Rosario. He's probably not going to be better than Grossman, but that's for Snit to decide. And I have to say he's going to go with the conservative approach. He's not going to, just put all his balls in one corner. He's a conservative guy. He's a conservative manager. Postseason's different. We could see a different Snit. But I don't see that happening.
I think you see a different Snit. I don't think that fucking matters at all. But Jake, if Ozzie comes back and he's healthy, is Vaughn Grissom playing left field for the Braves in the playoffs?
Yeah, and this pissed me off because I said this like a month ago, and people were saying, "Oh, well, he's never played left field." I'm like, okay, well, if you look at the numbers, Marcell Ozuna is worth roughly negative 20 F4 in left field, so I would rather have somebody that's never played left field.
Yeah.
Well, Marcell clearly never played left field either. I mean, the guy's a fucking bum.
Exactly. Like, what are we talking about? Like, he's a good athlete, and they're like, oh, you got to teach him a new position. You have to teach him to shag fly balls? Come on.
Bro,
use your brain for a second.
This guy's 21 years old. Like, he was probably playing center field like 3 years ago in high school.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, let's be real. He was the best athlete on his team. He probably played center field, shortstop. He probably played all over the field wherever they felt like they needed him. So, I think if Ozzie comes back and he's healthy and you're definitely playing him at second base and Grissom's still playing good, he has to be in the lineup. So he has to play left field. And I just don't think you lose that much. Maybe Robbie Grossman's a little bit better, but Vaughn Grissom's so much better offensively that I mean,
Robbie Grossman's still like negative 16 defensive fan.
And bro, you're trying to win, and you're trying to win a damn championship. Like, put your best players on the damn field. I don't care. Like, if he makes a mistake in the outfield and it costs us the game, so be it. But like, put your best damn foot forward and put your best guys on the field. I will say, Brian Snitker, conservative manager in the regular season, that's proven to change. And the way they've constructed the rosters going into the postseason has proven to change. Just based on, whatever can get them to win. It's not really about what happened in the regular season. It's all about, how do we win this next series? And they've really taken aggressive approaches last year, the year before in that sense. Next thing here, Strider or Harris, who wins the Rookie of the Year?
I think it's probably going to be Strider.
Even after he's sucking ass right now as we speak?
I mean, yes, but it's all about the moments. You look at Spencer, 16 strikeouts in a game. That's a moment. Like unless Mike hits like a walk-off grand slam against the Mets to seal the division, like it's going to be hard for him to replicate something that big time. And Michael's been incredible. I think they both deserve it. Any other year that the other one wasn't there, I think they run away with it. But I think it's going to be Strider.
I'll play devil's advocate here.
Oh God! Don't say that. That's so funny.
And I truly do believe this. This isn't me just talking bullshit. But I think, regardless of WAR, that's a stupid. I don't even understand it. I couldn't calculate it. But the moment Michael Harris came up, the Braves went on a tear. I mean, he immediately solidified the defense, the outfield, and his stick was unbelievable. And Strider's a starting pitcher. He's going to continually just, everybody's going to praise him because pitchers, that's just how it is in baseball. But I'd argue that Michael Harris's presence on the team is more impactful than Spencer Strider's over the course of the season. And I don't care what WAR says. I know that I'm basically describing WAR. But from what I've seen, if you took one of those guys off of the Braves roster, taking Michael Harris off the Braves roster would affect them much more. Just because of the outfield, we don't have that kind of depth, and our starting pitchers are pretty solid. Our rotation's solid.
I understand, but that's just not how they decided. I get your rationale, and I probably even agree with you, but that's just not how they decided. It's going to be Strider.
They got a hard on for pitchers.
It's funny because like every other day I have a different opinion on this. It's like, oh, dude, Strider just struck out 16. It's definitely him. And then he's kind of struggling today. And you look at Harris. He just won Rookie of the Month in August. He's still been hot. He has an almost 900 OPS this season. He's playing Gold Glove defense in center field. I completely agree with you, Alex. If you're talking about who's more valuable, like if this is a most valuable player award, which they don't judge it like that, Alex is right too. But if it is, Harris is more valuable. Then you look at Strider, though, and you go to his like F4 page, and the guy has less innings than everyone, and he's the 8th best pitcher in all of baseball this season, which is just like people are going to look at that, think about the 16 strikeouts, and be like, yo, this guy is it. I mean, he's ahead of Max Scherzer, Corbin Burns. I mean, these guys are Cy Young winners that he's ahead of. I mean, he's up there with like, Shohei Ohtani and the best pitchers in baseball, and he hasn't even started the whole season. So I think right now it's Strider, but I think it's one of those things that's definitely still up in the air. You have a month of baseball. Like whoever ends the year on a hot note is probably going to get the award. I would probably give the edge to Strider, but it's like every other day, man. They both just been so incredible, and Vaughn Grissom's right there with him. He just hasn't been up there the whole season.
Yeah, fun fact, last 3 months, Braves have won the Rookie of the Month award, June, July, and August. It was Harris, Strider, then Harris again. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. That's just an embarrassment of riches. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I had no idea that the last time that 1 and 2 in the Rookie of the Year race was Freddie Freeman and Craig Kimbrell. And Craig Kimbrell won it unanimously.
I remember that like vividly. I'm surprised you don't remember that.
I was watching MLB Network yesterday, and it just came up, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I had no idea. Pretty insane. But yeah, I mean, you talk about this Braves team, won the World Series, have the best record in baseball since June, and you just look at who they have signed for the next decade. It's an unbelievable time to be a Braves fan. Let's talk about Ozuna real quick. Does he make the playoff roster? I mean, the guy's all of a sudden, he looks like he can hit now. I'm just saying, guys, I've been his biggest hater for the last 3 months. He looks like he can hit now.
I give that a maybe at best.
Yeah, I definitely don't think – I think that if he were going to be released, it would have already happened. I mean, Jake, maybe you can answer. I mean, surely the Braves have all the information from his arrest, right?
Shit, I don't know. I appreciate you thinking that I knew, but no,
I don't know how long it takes.
It's a DUI. This isn't like a grand larceny case or something. So yeah, probably. It's been what, 2 or 3 weeks?
Yeah. So yeah, I think that if they were going to release him, they would have already done it. So I mean, if he's going to be on the playoff roster, even if he just starts slumping again.
Hold on. I'm going to brakes on this. If he goes back out there and has another 3 for 30 stretch, like immediately after we've just had this conversation, no, it will not be. But I don't know. If he keeps playing like he is right now, which I don't think it's sustainable, but I mean, even somewhere in the middle might get him there, but I don't know.
I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with Eddie Rosario sucking too. I mean, that guy's been awful. I don't think they're just going to give him a spot on the roster because what he did last season, because he's clearly not the same guy. So I think that plays a factor. I think health of some of the other guys plays a factor. I think right now, if it was today, he probably makes it simply. But I will say more than just the numbers recently, like his approach actually looks better. Like he's not just flailing at sliders and just swinging and everything. It actually has looked better. It's not just the numbers. So I don't want to I'm a little hopeful that because he actually can hit the ball when he's hot.
Only took him 6.5 months.
Someone tweeted at me that he gets really hot in like September and October, and I was like, damn, he did rock us back in the playoffs when he was with the Cardinals, which is why we went and got him in 2020. So I just feel like the power he brings, like I think there's a chance. And if he keeps hitting this well, I think there's a chance he's in the starting lineup as the DH. I wouldn't count that out.
I think it's more likely he's on it than he's not.
But I do think Jake's right. If he goes 3 for 30 and keeps striking out, like, he'll be done. Final question before we move on to the Falcons. Hey, there's Falcons football back. Not as good as Georgia football, Jake, but it's still football nonetheless. It's about probably better than LSU football. So, final Braves question. If I were to ask you today, who do you not want to play the most in the playoffs, who would you say? Jake, go ahead and start us off.
I want to say the Cardinals just because they always get so lucky, but they're just not good. So that doesn't really move me. I guess I'd probably just still have to say the Dodgers. A Mets series would obviously be very intense, but I feel like we can beat them. The Dodgers obviously down Walker Buehler, and I think they're down maybe Gonsolin. Is he also – I don't know if he's out.
Gonsolin's injured, but he's not out.
Okay. So, yeah, I'd probably still say the Dodgers. I still think they're the team to beat in the NL outside of Atlanta. So I'll just stick with the easy answer, and I'll say LA.
Go ahead, Alex.
I was going to say that too, but I'm not going to say the same thing. I'll go with the Mets only because it would be more embarrassing to lose to the Mets than the Dodgers.
If we're talking about most embarrassing, the answer is the Phillies.
I guess that's true. I don't know. I've just personally put so much out there in the ether that if we lost to the Mets, it would be more embarrassing for myself personally. But yeah, the answer is the Dodgers. They're a scarier team. What they're doing over there with the injuries they've had is unbelievable. But I will say this: the whole bullshit that those fans have talking, and I've seen it recently on Twitter about how imagine being in a divisional race. It's like, guys, have some self-awareness. I mean,
dude, they just lost the division last year. Like, we won the division 4 times in a row. Like, no, they can't say that when you lost the division last year. Also, their division sucks. It's sucked for a long time.
It's terrible. Dumpster fires.
There's a reason why they blow teams out of the water. I do think there are a couple teams on the come up. The Giants are usually pretty good. I think the Pods will be good for a little bit. And I actually think the D-backs are getting sneaky good. Watch out for them in a couple years. But right now, yeah, I mean, it's just not a great division out there. The Rockies are a complete dumpster fire. I'll go with I actually think it is the answer is the Mets. I think the Mets are better than the Dodgers. I think in a playoff series, having to beat Scherzer, DeGrom with Edwin Diaz closing games, like, that's kind of a little bit of a nightmare. I just don't think the Dodgers, like, when you talk about their starting pitching, are going to be able to slow down the Braves enough. I mean, like Julio Urias, I mean, Tony Gonsolin, like, we've shelled those guys before, especially Gonsolin, especially in the playoffs. Not having Walker Buehler out there, we'll see what they get out of Dustin May. Their bullpen's a little questionable. I just don't. I think you have to have swing and miss stuff in the playoffs to really win. Or really pitch well. And there's not a lot of that, coming out of the Dodgers starting rotation. I think it's close, though. It could go either way. Obviously, the Dodgers lineup is significantly better. But just to mix it up, I'll go with the Mets. And, yeah, it would suck to lose to the Mets. If we lost to the Dodgers, who cares, really? You lose to the Mets or Phillies or Cardinals, man. I just don't want to lose to a team that we're better than them. So I guess the Dodgers are the answer because they're the one team that I'm like, we could lose to them. That makes sense. But let's get into football. Falcons Saints. Maybe the one team in professional sports I hate more than the Mets, the Saints. I think we actually, it's a 4.5 favorite.
5.5.
It's 5.5. I think we cover that, boys.
I think we cover.
I don't know what to expect out of this game, man. I don't know what's going to happen. This is like last year with the Falcons when they first came out. I guess I was a little hopeful, but I was like, they're probably still going to lose. This year, I don't know. I really don't know. I can't get a read on this team.
If Jameis Winston gets into a rhythm, he's going to cook our defense. He's going to cook our defense. Dean Pease needs to be aggressive right out of the gate. Get a 3-and-out, get Marcus Mariota rolling. It needs to be the opposite. We need a bunch of short, quick passes to get Mariota's confidence up, and we need to do the opposite of Winston and force him kind of into those where he feels like he needs to force the ball. Because at that point, the turnovers come. I mean, you let Jameis Winston beat himself, and he will. He certainly will. He's that guy. And he doesn't have Sean Payton this year to kind of work himself out of that jam. Dennis Allen is not the head coach that Sean Payton is. And I think a lot of Saints fans are overlooking that fact that, sure, the defense is going to be great. The offense is still pretty good. They got a ton of weapons. Olave, Michael Thomas is back. Alvin Kamara, Jarvis Landry's there now. So they still got a pretty good team. But leadership matters. And Sean Payton was, Jesus Christ over in New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, Sean Payton was a headache for Falcons fans for as long as he was there. I think that's a huge thing. I mean, you saw how bad the Falcons looked integrating a new system. Week 1 in the NFL is just such a crapshoot. Some teams are there's so many blowouts in week 1. It's just one team always seems to be clearly more prepared than the other. Last year, clearly, it wasn't the Falcons. We got our ass handed to us by who's the coach of Philly's name? What's his name again?
Nick Sirianni.
Everyone was making fun of that guy, and it turns out we were the clown show. Went out there and just got embarrassed. Jalen Hurts looked like Tom Brady in his prime in the Super Bowl. I mean, it was one of the most. I went in the game with some high hopes. New coach. maybe the offense would look okay. Holy crap, was I wrong. What an absolute mess that was last season. I do think it'll be better because I think you're probably going to learn from your mistakes. But it's really all about how is New Orleans going to come out, because they're the one coming in on the road. They're the one coming in with a new coach, without Sean Payton, who's been there for almost 2 decades.
They have expectations too.
Yeah, I mean, there's no pressure on the Falcons. Everyone thinks we're going to be the worst team in the league.
Yep. I do think Jameis is going to have a good season, so we'll see how that goes. I got a future on him for comeback player of the year. I think he had the highest odds, but I mean, I feel like I don't know. I mean, it would be a real shame if New Orleans just wasn't who everybody thought they were going to be, and they ended up missing the playoffs.
To that point, this happened with LSU. So Saints fans might, get this twice in a few years, where an offensive guru, Joe Brady, Sean Payton, leave, and they try to just replicate the same system with similar coaches and fail miserably. I think that is also a possibility. Jameis Winston could show out. I love Jameis. A personal fan. I love him. I think he's hilarious. He fucking throws bombs. Love a quarterback who can throw it deep. But Pete Carmichael, this will be his first year with full control of the offense. And we'll see how that works out. Teron Armstead's gone. Trevor Penning's hurt. Maybe the Falcons pull off an upset.
I think it's one of those games where it's like the Falcons get their absolute shit rocked or they win. It's like there's no in between. Like the Saints.
That's been a lot of their games in recent history. So
yeah, the Saints are going to come out there with either maybe a little tight, a lot of mistakes because they're in a new system, or they're going to come out crisp and kick the absolute dog shit because they obviously have more talent than us. Like none of us are going to deny that. They have more talent on both sides of the ball than us. They should be able to dominate the line of scrimmage. And they have weapons and they have a great defense, and our offense is terrible. Like if their defense is clicking, like it's going to be tough for us to score. Like I do think we'll be better offensively, but that's a really good defense on the other side. So to me, it's like they're either going to kick our ass or we're going to somehow pull out a win. I'm hoping it's louder. I hope we at least have fans in the stadium. Like it's week 1 against the damn Saints. Like I know we're going to be.
The Lions are sold out. The Lions
are always sold. The Lions are always sold out. They have fans.
This is the first time. I just saw it. This is the first time in like 2 decades the Lions
maybe not sold out, but every time I watch a Lions game, there's like people in the stadium. Like you can actually see like no people in the stadium every time you watch a Falcons game. And it's embarrassing. I know there's gonna be more Saints fans. They're more excited for the year. I know that's gonna be the case, but I just hope it's at least a packed crowd. I mean, it's week 1, guys. Like I'm gonna be there. So hopefully we have a packed house. Hopefully it's not too bad, filled with dirty Saints fans. But Drake London, questionable for this one. You guys think he plays? And what do you expect from him this season?
I saw videos of him from practice today. They had an open practice at Mercedes-Benz, which is weird that they're practicing in the stadium. They never usually do that. I think he plays. And I think he could have a similar impact as Kyle Pitts did his rookie season. He's a perfect fit for Arthur Smith's scheme, and he's a dog. I mean, I saw it on one play. The dude just doesn't go down on first contact, can jump out of the building, great body control. He's a great prospect. The injury thing is maybe a little scary, but you can't just harp on that and knock a guy's potential on injuries. I don't believe in that. I don't think that's a thing. And if injuries arise, then we talk about it then. But for right now, I mean, yeah, he could be an offensive rookie of the year candidate, especially in an offense that will be, heavily revolved around Kyle Pitts, and therefore defense is trying to stop Kyle Pitts, bracketing him, double coverage, all kinds of stuff. It's going to leave Drake London a lot of opportunities. So if he capitalizes on them, that's to be determined.
Over under 1,000 yards this year for Drake London, Jake.
Under, barely, not by a lot.
I definitely think it's under. I bet he finishes with like 850, 825, something.
Not a lot. That's kind of what that's 900, high 800.
I'll go over 1,100 yards.
I mean, Kyle Pitts had 1,026 yards, and he was a phenom.
He was he was the only guy on but he was the only guy on the offense. I think having a Kyle Pitts across from you definitely plays a factor. I think it worked both ways. I expect a huge.
Well, now you have a Marcus Mariota instead of a Matt Ryan. So
Yeah, that's also true.
That's true, but at least I don't know. Like I said, I do expect us to use Mariota in a way where this offense can move the ball. We'll see how he can pass the ball. But I think I saw someone. I think it was Ted Nguyen. Is it Ted Nguyen or some? I might be messing that up. But someone from the Athletic that said he predicted a big year for Marcus Mariota.
I think Arthur Smith is an incredibly creative coach, and he's going to have a lot of fun with Marcus Mariota. The only unfortunate thing is Marcus Mariota is 28, 29, however old he is, and he's still playing like he's 21. He's putting his body on the line, and I appreciate that. I love that in a quarterback. I really do. But, dude, you're QB1. Act like it. Do not get hurt. And, unfortunately, his history shows he is going to get hurt at some point. And from what I saw in the damn preseason, taking unnecessary hits, nothing's going to change in the regular season. I love it. It's part of his game. You don't want to ask a guy to change. I get all that. But, you're QB1. Act like it. Act like it. Russell Wilson has no problem avoiding hits. I'm not saying he's Russell Wilson, but he's as athletic as Russell Wilson. That's for sure. You can't take those.
It's funny because Mariota, like his persona doesn't strike you as someone you'd kind of think he would be a guy that would take the way he kind of talks and stuff. You think he would be a guy that's I'm just going to take a little side, and he's out there balling.
Yeah, he's a dog.
I think some of it also has to do with just the fact that he's trying to earn a job. He wants to win. And he knows, guess what's going to keep me on the field the rest of this season, and guess what's going to get me a starting role next season? Winning. And putting his body on the line is going to help the team win. Now, you not staying healthy, that'll lose you a job real quick this year and next year. But yeah, we'll see how he handles it. I mean, yeah, you gotta love him going for it. But at the same time, you're QB1. At least we have Desmond Ridder, so there'd be something exciting there. But hopefully he stays healthy. Kyle Pitts, expectations of this. Let's say the numbers. I don't know what the over/under is on from Vegas. Does anyone know?
No.
His yardage?
All right. If I put it at 1,200 yards, over or under?
Over.
It'll be under.
I'll go over.
I think he puts up a similar stat line as he did last year. He'll have around 70 catches and around 1,100 yards, and I think his touchdown total goes up a lot. I do think that. I think that with Mariota being more mobile, it'll open things up inside the red zone for Kyle Pitts. I really do think that. So maybe 6 touchdowns, 1,100 yards, 75 catches, something like that.
I'll tell you what, guys. I really need the Falcons not to suck because I used to be obsessed with fantasy football, and now it's gotten to the point where I just take players that I like. It's I don't really give a shit about winning. This $100 league, it's not going to do anything for me. So I tried to draft Kyle Pitts. Listen to this story. I tried to draft Pitts. I double click on it and I accidentally get David Montgomery. Absolutely brutal luck. I do not want David Montgomery. That's got to be the least fun player to have on your roster.
A good running back on a shitty team. That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I was so pissed off. But then I ended up getting Patterson because I took him in the 6th round. Had to get my boy. Don't hate on him.
Fantasy football talk, Kyle Pitts will eventually be tight end 1. He will, overtake Darren Waller, Mark Andrews, and Travis Kelce. I don't know what he's going. He's probably tight end.
He's ahead of Andrews. I think he's 3 right now for sleeper.
No, Andrews is 1 right now.
Yeah, so I think it's Andrews, Kelce, Pitts, Waller.
I got Andrews 3rd out of all of those guys in my league.
Pitts is ahead of Waller. I the way it went in my draft was Andrews. I think Pitts was 3rd. Andrews, Kelce, Pitts, Kittle, Waller. I think that's what it was.
Pitts is going to overtake those guys at some point. I don't know if it's going to be this year. It could be this year. It could be next year. But when you get him tight end 3 and then he jumps to tight end 1, you're going to feel really good about yourself. And it could be this year. Who knows? He is so raw. He didn't even understand how defenses were trying to attack him. He was just trying to learn the offense last year. Once he gets both things clicking, his physical and mental, he's going to be unstoppable, dude. He's going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, well, I also drafted Drake London and Younghoe Koo and Cordell Patterson. I got the whole Falcons team. It's lit. But I got Jonathan Taylor, so I'm hey, you're just going to carry my little scrubs. You're going to carry the scrubs until we get going. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted a bunch of Falcons. Screw it. That's my squad. Keys to the game. What are the keys to the game against the Saints? I'll start. I think you got to – somehow protect Marcus Mariota. This defensive line, they're going to pin their ears back and they're going to, go. I think it's going to be hard to run on the Saints. It's always hard to run on the Saints. So they're going to have to do it with a lot of rollouts, a lot of scrambles with Mariota to keep drives alive. But I think if you can somehow keep Mariota somewhat protected, whether it be from play calling, whether it be from the offensive line not playing like absolute dog shit, you have a chance to win this game.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say you got to win vertical. You got to win some shots downfield. Paulson Adebo didn't practice today. That's a big part of their cornerback room. You gotta make some plays down the field. And if you're talking about on the defensive side of the ball, you got to get some pressure on Jameis. You got to force those mistakes, and you got to keep Alvin Kamara from catching dump routes and getting 10 yards extra on those as well. The linebackers are really going to have to step up.
Yeah, I think you said it, Jake. It's don't make mistakes and turn the ball over, and let Jameis make mistakes and turn the ball over. Marcus Mariota is not, well known for how great he takes care of the ball. He runs the ball a lot, so he's susceptible to a fumble or two. He has got to protect the ball better than Jameis Winston. And you said it, the offensive line, they've got to show something. They've got to show that they are, an NFL caliber offensive line. We got Drew Dahlman instead of Matt Hennessy, and we got Elijah Wilkinson instead of Jalen Mayfield. So we'll see if that changes some stuff up. But I think it's attitude. That defensive line, just like you said, they know how good they are, and they know how bad the Falcons offense is. They're going to pin their ears back, just like you said, Chase. And it's just about the Falcons, looking down, saying, do I got some balls? And take it to them, punch somebody in the mouth. I mean, for far too long, this has just been a laughingstock of an offensive line, and they have to turn it around at some point. The attitude is just not there. So that's what I'll be hopefully looking forward to, is the offensive line.
Well, you mentioned the two new offensive linemen. What are your expectations for them? Are you expecting anything different? Is it going to be an upgrade? Is it going to be just abysmal? What's the expectation here?
I think at left guard, you can certainly expect an upgrade. Elijah Wilkinson is, a slightly below average starter in this league, maybe even a little bit more than he's probably a below average starter. But Jalen Mayfield was the absolute worst starter in the league last year. You cannot do worse. So that will be an upgrade, no matter how, small it will be. Now, the Drew Dahlman, Matt Hennessy thing, I think is it's more of a gray area. In fact, I think that they're pretty much the same player. I don't think one's better than the other, and I think the coaching staff just, they drafted Drew Dahlman, this regime did, so they're always going to give the nod to the guy that they drafted instead of the guy they inherited. With that being said, I would love to see Jake Matthews. I'm going to call, Jake Matthews out. I know he listens to the pod. Let's see something other than, you just getting your ass whipped in the run game. He's a hell of a pass blocker. You want to talk about light in the ass, Cam Jordan talking about Kyle Pitts. Jake Matthews has nothing in the run game. I would love to see that. I would love to see some more attitude. This is Arthur Smith. This is what Arthur Smith wants to do, and they just extended him, so he's going to be here, and he needs to be better as a run blocker. He's stalwart on the offensive line. He's great in pass sets, but attitude. And Drew Dahlman, I hope he works out. I don't know.
So if you had, and Jake, feel free to chime in here because Alex already gave his guy on the offense. I'm thinking offensively and defensively, if you had one player that you think, this game could hinge on, like he could have a performance where the Falcons could win it. You said Jake Matthews on offense. What about a guy on defense?
Lorenzo Carter, go Dogs.
Okay.
That was a weak-ass answer.
I'll give a real answer. AJ Terrell, because Michael Thomas may not be playing in this game, and if he can do his job and really limit their passing attack, I think that would go a long way.
Yeah, I'm going to go in a similar direction, but I'll go a little inside. And we don't know who this player is going to be, but it's going to be whoever the nickel corner is. It could be Darren Hall, it could be D. Alford, it could be Mike Ford. You could see Richie Grant or Jalen Hawkins slide over there and Eric Harris take a safety spot, big nickel look. Because Jarvis Landry's in that slot, and he is as crafty as it comes. And if you let him tear it up over the middle, it's going to be a long day. So I think that's the key. I think, shutting down Jarvis Landry.
Yeah. I forgot Jarvis Landry was even on the Saints, to be honest.
I know, it's kind of sad. And Tyrann Mathieu,
I know,
It's
bro.
really sad.
Yeah, but those guys are out of their prime. We're about to have dog shit years. I'm just kidding, but I'll go Michael Walker. I just think someone in the linebacking core has to step up, stop Alvin Kamara, something like that. I'll go him. And then on offense, I mean, how do I go anyone besides? I'll go Cordell Patterson. I'll go Patterson. I think a lot. He had some big games against the Saints last year. I know and he also hasn't played like all preseason. They don't really know how they're going to use him at all. It's going to be interesting because it's going to be different than last year. I think it's going to be different than last year. I think we got some wrinkles under our sleeve. I like Patterson on the offense.
I'm gonna go Caleb. I'm gonna go Caleb McGarry because I feel like every time the Falcons do beat the Saints, he plays well.
Yeah, puts him in Alcatraz. Puts Cam Jordan in Alcatraz a couple times.
And this is supposed to be he's lost all this weight and he looks so good in camp. So let's see it.
Yeah,
I like that actually.
They've been raving about him.
And they're gonna put Cam Jordan over him, in all pass rushing downs. So he's either gonna give up 6 sacks like we've seen him do, or put him in Alcatraz like we've seen him do. So it's either one of the two.
Do y'all remember when D-Led asked why we don't rotate the offensive linemen?
No.
D-Led, bro, as some of the crazy.
I still have a screenshot of the tweet, Alex. I can't remember, but I think it was about the Saints game, and he was like, Cam Jordan's teeing off on Caleb McGarry. You got to wonder why they don't move him around. And I was like, what?
Yeah, kick him inside the guard.
Are you serious?
Kick him inside.
No, and he was talking about play to play, move him around.
Yeah,
what?
Yeah. As if Cam Jordan couldn't just move to the other side of the line.
Exactly, yeah.
So now you have a guy playing. Now you have a guy playing out of position, and Cam Jordan just followed him.
That's one of the stranger opinions I've ever seen online. I'll find that tweet and I'll send it to y'all.
Oh yeah, he has had some crazy ones, and at this point, it's gotten to the point where Arthur Smith and Terry Vodno, who are both just kind of no fucks, they're not going to give away anything. They just kind of make fun of him. He was the guy who was asking the question about the roster, and Arthur Smith was like, "Yeah, we'll put some fire emojis on it and stuff like that." And the Falcons tweeted out the roster.
I didn't see that.
Bro. He was asking me about the preseason gesture. He's like, D-Led, we'll put it out today. And he's like, you gonna have any? And I don't remember how the whole thing goes, but D-Led has that voice where he's just asking those questions and he sounds so goofy. But
he sounds like fucking Eeyore.
He's been doing this shit for 20 years too.
He asked him something. I can't remember what it was. It was like a tactical, it may have even been, I think it may have been Dean Pease, but he was like, I don't know, D-Led, what do you think? He's like, what did you see out there?
Arthur Smith's funny. Arthur Smith is an asshole. He's got a dry sense of humor, and I think he is hilarious. If anything,
Grissom just hit a bomb, bro. Vaughn Grissom just hit a 2-run homer, boys.
Let's go. He's on the playoff roster. Left field.
Let's sign this off and watch
he's playing left field. No, last thing. We got to get predictions. We got to get score predictions.
I'll go last. I don't want you guys cherry picking my perfect answer. Go ahead.
28-3 Falcons. This is the year the joke ends. This is the year we turn it around.
I'm gonna go 23-20 Falcons. We get it done. We're beating the Saints once this year. It's happening this week. This is our best chance. We'll get blown out the second game, but we're winning this one.
I got 21-20. Falcons winning on a last-minute drive. Marcus Mariota turns on the wheel.
Touchdown
to win it. Yep.
And we don't get a blocked extra point?
Dude, I wanted to kill myself waking up on that.
No blocked extra point in the Falcons game. Younghoe Koo, he delivers. I like that. Thank you guys for joining us. Hey, hopefully we come back next week and Braves are in first place firmly and Falcons are 1-0 firmly in first place. Aha.